Honestly, at this point, Clem might as well switch to Protoss. I had a look at his Aligalek, which is a website that keeps track of all of the games that he plays, and the last time that he played Terran against another Terran was back in February. Now, that doesn't sound like it's that long ago, but honestly, considering the amount of games that this man plays, it is getting out of hand. Today, he's playing a best of 7 against one of the world's best Terrans. We have none other than ByuN. Interestingly enough, by the way, a lot of people have been wondering, is Clem's Terran versus Terran just garbage? Because he keeps playing Protoss whenever he faces a Terran in a tournament. Well, in that last series he played, he went up against ByuN, who's on absolute fire right now, and admittedly I haven't seen the games, but he ended up winning that series, not dropping a map. So he's perfectly capable of playing TVT. He has just decided that he prefers playing Protoss, and honestly, it is getting ridiculous. Now, ByuN has decided though to start this series off with a proxy barracks on the other side of the map. The tricky thing about this is that the probe scout will confirm that there is a normal barracks inside of the main base. Obviously though, you do expect there's going to be a command center at that point as well at some point in the future. Everything gets a little bit messy. Clem is just going to scout around and see if there's any more resources being spent somewhere. Well, the resources are being spent, but they are on the other side of the map. Clem at this point, not aware of exactly what he's playing against, but he knows that he might have to be a little bit careful. He did decide to go for the Cyber Core before that Nexus on the low ground. Nothing all too odd, but going Nexus before Cyber Core would be considered very greedy. Now, it looks to me like we're starting off this match with a Marauder all-in. Okay, sure, why not? Jimmy apparently did get some shots in on the probe. The probe did see the timing, if I'm not mistaken. No, it didn't actually. But it didn't notice the lack of a command center. Either it was hidden somewhere else, or indeed something fishy is going on. But I believe that for now, ByuN has been able to get away with this. Even completely unscouted though, this is the type of thing that is still defendable for Terran. Or for Protoss. Man, Clem playing Protoss is still very confusing to me. It's still defendable, you just have to micro incredibly well. Well, the Zealot has been sent across, and this is technically a little bit awkward, because there's only a single Marine. Normally, there's supposed to be a little bit more. So seeing the lack of literally anything else here may also just spark the idea that something here is a little bit suspicious. Concussive Shells is researching, second Marauder just about to pop. Zealot is going to get an SCV. Alright, I believe that will be it, as Jimmy finishes the job. Already though, both players are ready for a hyper-aggressive series, and honestly, that's my favorite type of Protoss versus Terran to watch. Well, here we go. Marauders are now going to be revealed. Clem wanted to make another gateway. Did end up getting denied, but I guess that will work in his favor. Keep in mind, though, of course, that these units have a slow attack speed. Good counsel there on the battery. Or maybe that was another pylon. Either way, yeah, he's going to have to make sure that this shuts down before that bunker finishes up. Good snipe on the SCV using the Stalker. Obviously, the Marauders are high in DPS, but slow in attack speed, so they're not going to have an easy time killing probes. Nice targeting here by Clem, but he's still taking a lot of damage and also a ton of lost mining time. The Marines from the other side of the map have now also decided to join in the fray. Shield battery, though, is going to finish. And I think that will make this manageable. I mean, it's still 7 probes, though. 7 probes is a lot. A nice aggressive way to start this series off for ByuN. Clem decides to, by the way, shade past all of those Marines and Marauders, as he is now thinking about going across the map. I mean, any SCVs on the low ground are likely to be protected with just a couple Marines. What else is there to produce here when you have a tech lab on the other side of the map and a reactor at home? So this command center actually does get denied. ByuN has not gone for an orbital here. Yeah, he's going to start it up right now, but that was actually supposed to be done a little while ago already. He was waiting for more Marauders to finish up. And even though this is looking like a successful attack here by the Terran player, I'm not really loving this all too much. I mean, he's now kind of putting himself at an all-in. He did go and research Stimpack 2 on the other side, so that's nice and all. But that upgrade takes a long time. Assuming Clem has the units to defend against that push that ByuN is going for, I mean, he should be able to defend this relatively easily, although obviously this is still, well, not a whole lot of Protoss available yet. I actually like this from ByuN. I think he needs to go. I don't think you can wait a whole lot longer, because the longer you wait, the more that economical advantage here of Protoss will kick in. A lot of shield batteries coming up. Clem at this point doesn't know exactly what he's playing against, but he knows something's fishy. He's making a whole lot of shield batteries at home. He's making that Stimpec research too. It's gonna finish up, or Stimpec, Blink rather. Stimpec is finishing up. I was reading it at the same time. Blink is going to finish up here within the next half minute. So let's see. It will all come down to this attack right here from ByuN. Stimpec is indeed finished. Keep in mind, of course, that he's hurting his own units whenever he uses it. Battery recharge use or energy recharge on that sentry. Good force fields. Slices a bunch of these units in half. Blink at this point is available for the Stalkers. I don't know if Clem realizes that it did finish. Yeah. Very acceptable, though. Acceptable losses so far. And like I said, Stimpec hurts these Terran troops. So every time you hit the stim button, well, you're also hurting like 20% of your total HP. GG. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Next up, we find ourselves on the map Ley Lines. ByuN has decided to continue being an absolute nuisance. This is one of those locations that I look at and I'm like, I would never have put it on the edge of where the Nexus would go. Yeah, it's not gonna fit. Only just barely though. Which is funny because that's also what she's... No, Loco. Okay, Reaper coming up here for ByuN. Clem now forced to head on over towards the third base location, as he will be building the Nexus vertically from the main base, but not in his preferred location. So this series is immediately off to a bang, man. So when Clem first started playing Protoss, right, it's probably about a year ago. Initially, it kind of started off as a meme. He's been playing a lot of Protoss as of late, specifically only against Terran. So rather than playing TVT, he's been playing PVT. Interestingly enough, when he's going up against another Protoss player, he does play Terran himself. So he plays Terran against Zerg, Terran against Protoss, and then Protoss against Terran. And it's kind of a banger setup. I think he probably believes that in this matchup, Protoss is favored, even though he's still winning the majority of his own TVPs. Honestly, maybe at this point, it's just Clem who is favored. Anyways, he's been looking ridiculously strong, and even though it started off as a bit of a joke, I genuinely believe he's probably got like top 3, top 4 maybe, best PVT in the world. I mean, that previous game was very stellar. Even though it didn't really look like that much, the fact that he read that information perfectly, I mean, obviously he's a Terran player, so he knows what Terran is trying to sell. That's kind of brilliant. That was not an easy game for him to determine the outcome of, and it seems to me that Clem is still continuously improving. Now, good interception here with that Reaper. He caught the probe transfer towards that new base. Obviously, this is one of those things, right? Maybe if you play Zerg, you know how annoying it is whenever your base gets blocked early on. The thing about Zerg, though, when you have to make your third base as your very first expansion, is that at the very least, your units move really quick. Protoss units don't have a lot of mobility. And even though there will be Blink and all that, eventually charge will also be done at some point. At this point, the main and that expansion are very disconnected. Well, it will be Blink once more. And if I do have to criticize Clem's Protoss over anything, I guess it's a bit predictable. He always plays Blink. But then again, Blink doesn't really have any real weaknesses. And I guess it's the closest to anything Marine Marauder, right, that Protoss has. A little bit of a mistake here. Does get a Marine on his way out. Cyclone, though, is going to be able to snipe that next Adept as well. And that's now also forcing the Stalker to go back. Okay, I'm liking this position here for ByuN. Now, of course, this is a best of 7. So you do have to make sure that you have at least a little bit of variety in your gameplay. I would imagine that it's mostly ByuN who will be bringing the variety. Clem will likely be the defender here in the earlier stages of this match. It is a good old 1-1-1 inside of the main base. Liberator right now coming up after that Medevac. And ByuN basically is just trying to drive a wedge in between all of these Protoss units. There's like 2 separate lines of defense for Clem. Protoss already doesn't have a whole lot of troops. They can be recalled, I suppose, but recall is also quite costly. A long cooldown. Okay, the dance has to begin. I like how, by the way, there's already a probe in position, ready to build another Nexus. Cyclone, in the meantime, having a grand old time, by the way. Shield battery is really nice. That Cyclone is responsible for a lot of worker kills. A lot of funky to see a single unit all on its own like that. But he gets the job done. 7 probes. This one, like I said, on the low ground, I think it's going to be building a Nexus. There we go. And ultimately, Clem just does not care. So, 9 probes have been killed. But obviously, ByuN also slowed down his own economy for that quite a bit. It's not like he did it without losing anything himself. And actually, if you look at only the resources lost, totally fine here for Clem. This is, of course, that moment when Terran has to go ahead and sit back. There's always a little bit of a lull in the Terran early game. So there will be Stimpak and combat shields and +1 infantry weapons, usually all at the same time. But while that is researching, Terran needs to sit back. So Clem gets to do whatever he likes for the next few minutes. Now, what do you think he likes? Well, let's think about it. He's French. He's a gamer. Well, you'd imagine cheese, right? He's not really that much of a cheeser. Maybe like, you know, snails in that like garlicky sauce. He probably likes that. A little bit of wine on the side. Since he's a gamer, he probably likes anime. Something like that. I wouldn't be surprised. What kind of anime do you think Clem would like to watch? Do you think he watches it with French dubs? I would love to listen. Never thought about this. But French dubbed anime? Ooh. Sorry, I'm trying to picture it in my head right now. That's very... For some reason, that's an image I can't get out of my head. Anyways, there it is. Stimpak combat shields together with +1. He's got very good English, by the way, Clem. Obviously. He could certainly watch subs. Let's be real, he should be watching subs. But still. I've actually been rewatching a little bit of Dragon Ball Z lately. And I used to watch it when I was a kid. With the English dubs. I don't know if this is sacrilege, but I've been watching the English version of Dragon Ball Z. Is this allowed? Am I like breaking some sort of nerd code? I tried watching it in Japanese, but like the voice is just... No, dude. I like the English Goku. It's... maybe sacrilege. Maybe it's nostalgia. Either way, what Clem needs here is Storm. Side Storm finishing up. 10 seconds. Charge is already done, though, which is a banger. ByuN should see that there are high Templar. Yeah, he sees one right now for certain. Oh, juicy Storm. What Immortal decided to commit Sudoku. Fair enough. Liberator in the main base gets denied. Yeah, I don't think ByuN can really continue this. I mean, he wants to continue fighting, but it's like one storm away from an absolute disaster. And I think we're gonna attempt that exact thing right here, right now. Decent storm. Stimpak obviously needs to be reapplied. In the meantime, the Stalkers and the Zealots have been working away at the siege tanks. And with that being the absolute backbone of that Protoss, or of that Terran attack, rather, well, Protoss is going to be able to defend this pretty easily. There are a lot of reinforcing units coming up for ByuN. But I mean, again, there's Storm. There's not a whole lot of energy. This is where energy recharge can be very helpful. Nice blink as well. Denying the damage there from the Widow Mine. Yeah, Clem's Protoss is legit. Like, this is not easy. But it's legit. It's very good. Well, the third command center now is done. And of course, when Terran goes up to 5 and 6 gas, when they get up to that 3-base economy, that's when the Ghost Academy will be a weapon of choice. I think ByuN should have gone home a little bit sooner. Gotten that EMP against the Zealots, and then also against any Archons, and of course the High Templar. It's a phenomenal weapon here against everything Protoss, but especially against this type of army composition. Now Clem, though, has got a little safe haven here for his High Templar. That is an EMP foolproof type of setup, although obviously if you use the Prism and you lose it with the High Templar inside of it, that is unfortunate. Ooh, aggressive blink forward. Zealots in the meantime trying to go around. Once more, though, there is some aggression, and I do like this. Good multi-pronged by ByuN. I didn't notice it. Clem didn't notice it, so he takes 9 workers worth of damage there to the Widowmine drop. Honestly, this is a scary attack, though, from Clem. There are some units available, but all of this is, like, relatively low tier. Even though there is, like, a 10 supply advantage. Clem is going into a 4th Nexus 2, so this is by no means all in. Storm, 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 storm. Oh, he goes for the SCVs. I figured he would go for the army, but that is actually 13 workers down the drain. Guardian Shield being activated too. There is a Widowmine. Oh, he was going to sacrifice the Zealot. Decides otherwise. Widowmine drop goes back in. That is going to hurt a little bit, I think. Oh! Big explosions. We see this time and time again from Protoss players when they're busy microing their units. I mean, they have a lot of movement potential at this stage in the game with, well, Blink and the Prism and all that, but they can't quite look at the minimap as easily. Big Zealot warp in now inside of the main base too, picking off some of the SCVs, going after some of the reinforcing Terran units as well. Okay, Widowmine drop gets shut down. Prism goes down towards the low ground. Only Zealots inside of it. Previously, it held some High Templar. Would have been nice to go for some Storm drops here, but a little too costly. Protoss, in the meantime, has gone back home, and ByuN does hold. And of course, even though he lost a lot of SCVs, he's got those mules. Hello. ByuN? ByuN! Okay, thank you. He must have misclicked by accident there onto the mineral field. A little bit unfortunate. Getting the Prism here would be nice, but not enough Marines here to really stim all of this down. Colossus now, coming up. Another source of splash damage. There's Archons, there's High Templar. Now we're gonna go into the Colossi as well. Generally, that's going to force out some sort of Viking play. Nice little Marauder counterattack, though. Bunch of Marines in the mix, too. I think you can go for the Nexus, but maybe it's a bit safer to go for the probes instead, or maybe you can get both. Looks like there was a Zealot run by 2 on the other side of the map. Ooh, overextension here by ByuN! Accidental move command loses one of the medevacs. That is a bit sloppy. That may just be what Clem needs. Clem still has a lot of troops over here. Good EMP there, though, by the Ghost. He gets the Zealots as well as the Templar. Archon, though, unharmed for now. That Colossus is going to be phenomenal, especially against Marines here. They deal bonus damage against light. They're garbage against Marauders, but the Marines, well, they certainly can get lasered to death. ByuN is trying to keep his foot on the gas. He knows that he's got a supply advantage. How big it is, it's always hard to say, but 30 supply, certainly noticeable. Let's see. He doesn't really have that beefy, like, he's got a lot of low-tier units, and obviously this is Terran, so they're really good for that. Yeah, a lot of low HP troops too, though. And this is not ideal. Yeah, this is one of those weird decisions, right? Where like, wow, really, ByuN? Hold up. I think that was actually too early of a GG. Maybe he overestimated what he's got. I mean, obviously, this is a very committed push here by ByuN. So, the weird thing is, ByuN's been doing such a good job keeping his units alive that he's got a lot of low HP units. And therefore, this fight, like his supply count in a strange way is a little bit inflated. A lot of low HP troops here that just get stormed to death, and the Colossus, yeah. I mean, he's certainly not in a comfortable position anymore after this engagement. Yeah, ultimately, right, he's playing against 4 base Protoss. He doesn't really do a lot of damage there. I don't think he really needed to tap out just yet, but apparently he is not feeling confident. Next up, we find ourselves on Talisman. One of the maps from the Team Liquid map contest. Technically not a quote-unquote real tournament map. But I mean, when you make your own tournament, you can choose your own map pool. And even though ByuN may have had something fishy in mind, so this has this weird little going up towards the high ground. You can go, you know, down the same thing too. I think maybe ByuN had some dirty intentions here. But Clem decided to scout it down pretty easily. This is an interesting map though. I've quite liked the overall games that I've seen on them so far. So there's these relatively skinny mineral fields. I think they have about 100 minerals in them each. And it, at the very least, reduces some of the cheese. A little asterisk right next to that. I've heard that apparently... Why are the rocks flickering? What's going on here? Somebody turned the LEDs, or maybe the lighting effects on the rocks off and on there. Not exactly sure, dude. Maybe they have one of those, like, remote-controlled lighting effects. Anyways, I've seen Serral go for some dirty cheese on this map, and from what I've heard in this same tournament, so this is from the PiG tournament, right, the PiG Fest, apparently he actually cheesed a whole lot of times on this map using this, well, backdoor natural expansion. I'm not exactly sure how to even call this, but it's an interesting one. So a worker can go down to the low ground, skinny mineral fields here to create an extra opening into the main. There's also a more, well, conventional expansion that you can also take. But I'm really liking how this plays out, you know? It creates a little bit of variety in the early game. And ultimately, fun early game. That is always something I'm interested in. I'm a big fan of the standard maps, but a little bit of variety from time to time. It's making the game even harder. No, Jimmy. No. No, Jimmy. Jimmy, remember that donut you had yesterday? Now you don't fit anymore. Down the slippy... Oh, no, you don't fit there. No, he's waiting for a probe to come and slit her up. Yeah, no, it's not gonna happen. He was trying. He saw the SCV going down the slip and slide, but sadly for him... Well, apparently he's not allowed. This is, by the way, a very quick concussive shells again here for ByuN. Maybe he was originally planning on doing this on the other side of the map, but apparently now we are doing it at home. Still nice, though, of course, if you want to intercept a couple of these early game units. It's just a bit costly. Concussive shell is mostly just a time investment. There you go. Slow down. Shade is nice, but I don't think it's going to be able to complete. Dude, adepts really are a punching bag in the early game. Either a cyclone kills them, or, well, literally anything else. In this case, even the Marauders apparently can be a nuisance. ByuN was hoping that maybe there would be a proxy here. Obviously, it's a 2-0 advantage in a series. And I think he's a bit tilted from that previous game, if I'm honest. Like, that was an early GG. Maybe he wants to get back to, I don't know, watching Dragon Ball Z with the Korean dubs. We never know. I have no idea what anything would sound like in Korean, but I can guess. Probably not as nice as the French dubs, let's be real. No, the French dubs in Dragon Ball would be kind of a banger. Anyways. Let's see. Robo facility here now coming up for Clem. And of course, once more, the good old Blinky boys. Now, by the way, even though broadly speaking, Clem likes to do the same thing every single time, aka blink openers, it's what he does in this matchup, he does mix up the early game quite a bit these days, so it's not always identical. This is one of those pretty foolproof ways, though, of opening up. At least in theory, right? Assuming you do everything correctly. Blink Stalker openers just are the perfect way to start. It's just that these units, while also very mobile, are also quite flimsy, right? So you have to be very, very good at controlling your units. And a high-speed Terran player, likewise actually ByuN. I would imagine if ByuN played Protoss, he would likely also be focusing on Blink Stalker a lot more than Oracle or Phoenix-based builds, because Oracles behave a little bit differently. Very quick Templar archives. Yeah, so far, by the way, so what's interesting in this series, ByuN has been the one trying to get this game to go off the beaten path. And Clem is the one who's trying to just play a normal game. This is the first time that Clem really gets to do whatever he wants. But in the previous matches, it's always been ByuN who's trying to be annoying. Either with a proxy barracks, or I guess right now we've had that Marauder start, but nothing all too weird here. It's a triple Rex opener. Nothing all too crazy. Still hard to hold, though. When you know your opponent is going to go into Blink Stalker every time, this is the type of thing that can be difficult to hold. Storm is a bit late. I was wondering about this. I actually wanted to go back to check whether or not he cancelled the Templar archives, but no, he didn't cancel it. He was just a little bit slow on starting up that research. Prioritizing an Immortal here. Fair enough. This is the type of attack, though, that is quite difficult to hold if you do not have charge ready to go. And ByuN really needs to be making a move across the map right about right now. The triple Rex is done. Combat Shields is finishing up. +1 is finishing up. Stimpak is already finished too. Templar archives, I mean, it's researching, and when Storm is done, suddenly the defense for Protoss is going to be 10 times easier. Obviously, though, ByuN has no idea, right? He hasn't scouted at all. So let's see. Are we going to do anything, ByuN? Or are we going to just sit here? Maybe he's going to wait until the Medivects are out, too. Yeah, that's what he's going to do. He's actually playing this very slow. I'm guessing he's even going to be building up another command center or something along those lines. Surprisingly passive start here for ByuN. I mean, you don't really need to jump in, but this feels a little bit out of character. It's a bit strange to go open up with very quick concussive shells and then just do a whole lot of nothing on the back of it. I mean, it's okay. But ultimately now you end up with Marine Marauder Medevac again. And Protoss gets a free pass to Psionic Storm and High Templar. And the High Templar have decided to go inside of the little private jet. Let's see. Here we go. Storm drops. Oh. Well, you know what? That's pretty good. Yeah, I'm gonna come out and say it. I think that's pretty good. Do we have an energy recharge available? We don't. Oh, you already used it on this Templar, maybe. I'm not sure. Anyways, he still has additional storms available too here. There's still more storms soon, yeah. Storm is just a banger, man. If you get Storm done, it just makes this Protoss army so much better. ByuN, uncharacteristically sloppy here with his marine control, if I have to be completely frank. I think he can do a bit of a better job. He's trying to just brute force his way up the ramp, but doesn't even get close. There's still a Templar, by the way, inside of this plane too, and enough energy on that guy. Yo, did Clem just absolutely demolish ByuN here in like a straight up game of TVP? It's not technically over yet, but this is a banger of a start. Oh. Nice retargeting there onto one of the Templar. Nicely done by ByuN. Problem here for ByuN, right, is that he's got 2 command centers. So this is effectively a 2-base all-in from ByuN, and he didn't even see the opponent's natural. So, in the meantime, Clem has got his 3rd Nexus up and going. He's got all the tech he needs. He did lose the Robo facility, I suppose, so no additional Immortal production for a little while. Even picks up the Zealot there too. High Templar trails behind. He could certainly go for an all-in here, Clem, but again, pushing up this ramp is always scary, right? It's the same problem that ByuN just ran into. Yeah, I can't really blame him from just marching that army back home. He's just checking. He knows now that there's no 3rd CC. It just started building inside of the main base, but I think we may as well save up, go for a 4th Nexus if you feel like you can get away with it. Then again, though, it's already like, you know, a 50% bigger economy here for Protoss compared to the Terran, so maybe don't get too carried away. Robo Bay instead, 2 additional gateways. Yeah, Clem is just cruising now. So Clem could have pulled the trigger there to try and go for an all-in. But he's saying, yo, I don't think I really need to. Plus, if my opponent really is tilting a little bit, and I'm sure that Clem is starting to get that vibe too, may as well stretch it out a little bit. See if he, you know, a little bit of additional pain. Well, ByuN still, of course, has an opportunity here. He's got a massive army, just no economy. So he hasn't made a probe, or a Terran probe, in a while. So even though he's making a Ghost Academy right here, and he does have a 3rd CC done, he doesn't really have the SCVs for that sort of thing whatsoever. Looks like the push over here also got denied. There's a lot of Widow Mines hoping to get lucky. She's up all night to get to... They're hoping here to get lucky and maybe get a couple of Marines, Marauders, whatever. Or Zealot, Stalkers, whatever. Alright. Looks like Clem is the one who wants to commit. Another massive storm. Another massive storm. Dude, we just keep storming. Another one. GG. Alrighty. This feels a little weird, but we're in game 4. We find ourselves on the map Arrowholm, and this is match point here for Clem. Now, I just had a brief look. Recently in Terran versus Terran, so there's only a handful of games, but he hasn't dropped a single map. As far as I can see, he hasn't dropped a map in TVT in 2025. In Terran versus Protoss, so Clem playing Terran, going up against Protoss, he has a win rate of about 75%. Clem's making Protoss look pretty overpowered in this series so far, but in the meantime, his Terran going up against Protoss is at 75% win rate against pro gamers. So, I'm starting to think maybe Clem is a little bit overpowered. I'm getting a very similar vibe watching Clem play as I do whenever I see, for example, Serral. You look at Serral and you're like, well, he's done it again. Zerk is gonna get another nerf. Dude, now that I'm thinking about it, if Clem would just be winning everything, only playing Terran, I wouldn't be surprised if people would give very similar Reddit arguments, right? And Battle.net forum posts and all the rest of it, that Terran is horribly overpowered. But now you can kind of point towards Clem and, well, say, look, his Protoss is amazing too. It's not actually Terran that's the issue. It's just that Clem is ridiculously good. Either I'm overthinking this, or Clem has a huge brain. Probably. I guess you could also interpret that as a Terran and Protoss need a nerf, or maybe Zork needs a buff. I don't know. Maybe that's not what he's going for. Either way, Clem is going to open up very aggressively here on Araholm. Lucky though for ByuN, he's already been building that command center inside of the main base. Low ground expansion coming up as well for Clem. It is a double Rexa, or a double gate opener rather. Man, I've been calling Zealots Marines, Gateways Barracks. I've been miscalling half the units so far. Very nice. Professional commentator, by the way. In my defense, I've only been playing this game for a decade and a half, so you can't really expect me to know every single unit, especially not their name. This gets a little out of hand. Ooh, Jimmy, run! Oh, well, apparently they really wanted to get the Adept, and they got what they came for, but ultimately, death did follow. ByuN has got the second CC done. Rin needs to be dropping the mule down. ByuN, hello. There we go. Don't want to be sitting at 60 energy there. 10 seconds late. Honestly, I am not too impressed with the cleanliness of ByuN here so far. Everything just feels a bit sloppy. Adept Scout goes in freely. There is a very quick third command center, by the way, too. So this is a triple CC, one base opener from ByuN, and all of it off of a single barracks. And now because the Adept goes in, Clem sees it. Clem saw it coming in from a mile away. Still though, this is a banger of an opener, assuming ByuN can get away with it. So it's triple CC into triple barracks, Stimpak combat shields, and then +1. It's going to hit very hard when it ultimately goes across the map. I don't believe that ByuN is too concerned about Storm this time around. But this is another alternative option. Clem decides to go into a Dark Shrine now. So even though he's been playing a very defensive first 3 games, at least in the earlier stages of it, now we're doing hyper-aggression. SCVs pulled away from the mineral line to try and defend against this. Good bit of damage being done here by the Stalkers. He needs to continue getting that high ground vision, right? So obviously that's the thing that's lacking here for Clem. He just hasn't got an easy way to look up towards this high ground. Marines are getting targeted down, and now that the bunker is nearly finished, I mean, doesn't even matter. Dude, Dark Templar are coming. Dark Templar are gonna be here in like a minute. 9 SCVs, 10 SCVs, 11 SCVs. Counting with Loco. Welcome to my educational podcast. 14 SCVs. Guys, Clem is trashing ByuN. Like, seriously, this is... It's still obviously recoverable here for Terran. Again, because of the triple mule. Look at the amount of energy saved up on his orbital, though. He should have a couple scans available at the bare minimum here against the Dark Templar follow-up. But this is not looking healthy at all for ByuN. Off racing against one of, well, he's main racing against one of his main competitors' off races. That's crazy. And he's getting destroyed. Did he just, by the way, drop 17 mules as I watched? Oh! Not all heroes wear capes! But this guy does! Yikes. I mean, there should be storms, or there should be scans and stuff available at some point. There's one. There's two. Okay, at least he gets both of them in one scan. 24 SCVs, 6 minutes into the game. I believe that's what we call in the business a yikes. Well, ultimately, Twilight Council will, of course, be used as well. And what is it going to be using? Well, it will be used for the good old Blink upgrade. Robo facility coming up. Forge now also building in the back of the main. We've got ourselves a third Nexus cooking up. Still, it's triple CC. Clem still does not have an easy way to get high ground vision. But you can just sort of face tank it, and this is an awful lot of Terran. Still though, the Marine Marauder count at this point has grown. Stimpack is done, +1 infantry is done as well. Combat shields, suddenly those Marines, they found a shield in their backpacks and decided to pick it up. +10 HP. Sick. This guy is proudly running away with his little shield. Can't catch this. Charge. +1 as well here for Clem. Oh, a little bit of a supply block here for ByuN. Guys, I think ByuN is kind of... he played really well in the first game. But then as this series progressed, he's just kind of playing messier and messier over time. Now, lucky for us, his baseline performance is still going to be really strong. But it feels to me like he is playing 99% mechanics here. Which, to be fair, will probably carry him very far. But it's not very refined. So rather than going Storm this time around, it will be a Robo Bay follow-up. It's a little bit quicker to get that going. Clem will have to, well, I guess just here rely on a bulk of Protoss. But since Terran's economy was hurt so much, though, I really don't think ByuN is going to feel confident to just go across the map. Decides to delay the +1 armor for no apparent reason. It makes sense to delay it if you want to go for an all-in. But when you don't go and commit to the all-in, you should immediately fire up the +1 armor here, too. Okay, 3rd Command Center now landed on the low ground. And honestly, the only way and the only reason why ByuN is still in this game is because of this ramp. Another supply block. This ramp over here has saved him. A bunch of those Protoss units needed to face tank up towards the high ground. If this was one of those maps where that natural entrance is just on a flat piece of terrain, I think Clem would have already won this. Either way, now ByuN has an opportunity to... Please don't boost it to... Okay, he's going to boost it to the Stalkers. We're going to result in... God, go back to YOLO drops. Lucky for him, there were only 3 Stalkers there. If it would have been 5... I don't know if that medevac would have been equally lucky. Okay, Ghost Academy coming up. Probe in the tall grass here. The strangest Pokemon to find. He's gonna group up his units and try his best to go for a push, but now suddenly, guess what? Big Daddy Colossus is here. Guardian Shield also activated. Obviously, there's charge. Well, Clem was thinking about backing up here for just a second, looked at that fight a second time around, and decided, you know what? I think I'm good. Clem. Dude, Clem's Protoss is the real deal. That is looking legit very, very strong. He's building now a 4th Nexus. So this is, by the way, a transition from very early game aggression into full macro. That is not an easy transition to make as Protoss. Because you need to rely on splash damage and well, now he's gotten there, right? But making that call to tech up towards either, for example, High Templar or in this case, Colossi, you need to make that investment, but then still be safe for like 2 minutes. And it's not an easy decision to make, because there's a lot of ways in which you can accidentally lose the game in the meantime. Prism is a little late to the party. It is gonna join the battlefield in a moment. Honestly, Clem should wait until these upgrades are done. The Prism is here. The ranged research is finished for the Colossi, but Clem is smelling blood. And that might be his demise, though, because this is still an awful lot of Terran. Clem wants to fight. He's got aggression issues. He's a very momentum-based player, and you can see it here in the way that he's controlling his units. He wants to keep going. Important, though, not to get too tunnel visioned here. Sometimes the StarCraft bloodlust can be a problem. Nice EMP there by ByuN. Prism in the meantime, by the way, going around the site. Looks to me like it's going to be dropping off a couple Zealots as a little gift for ByuN. Warping in the main base will probably be attempted, and that, of course, opens up the opportunity to maybe go for a push up towards that 3rd base. A Dark Templar in the mix too, by the way, which I always love. It's going to make this way more complex to deal with. Liftoff has been forced on the 3rd. New Colossus wants to join up with its brothers. It's finding a bit of an awkward moment. Yeah, not an easy way to get over here. He'll be joining up with everybody else in a moment. The DT, by the way, is still around. The Zealots may have been cleared out. ByuN thought it was only Zealots. There's so much chaos going on, right, that he didn't realize that one of the units that got warped in is a Dark Templar. 22 additional SCVs go down. Yeah, calm and collected now. Genuinely. More Colossi. Sure, why not? We have 4 Colossi. Maybe make a 5th. Alright, fine. We're going into a Disruptor instead. Generally, you don't make any more than 3. 3 is kind of like the standard. 2 to 3 Colossus is strong. 4 is a bit much. Especially when your opponent has been making Vikings for a while already. So, there are going to be... There's 8 Vikings here. 7. 6. 1 Colossus takes a lot of damage. Okay, they finally finished off one of them collectively. Disruptor in the mix now too. That's going to make defending this ramp way easier. Energy recharge used on the sentry. Little Zealot on the other side of the map. Another Zealot on the other side of the map. And a 3rd Zealot. A 4th Zealot. A 5th. Like, they're everywhere. There's little groups of Zealots everywhere. ByuN now, though, holds the supply advantage. But he's forced into, like, almost a 3-base all-in, right? Like, we're kind of, like... It's not a bad spot here for Terran by any stretch, but it's also a little bit committed. You can either add on a 4th command center soon or fly over the main base. But this is not really that big macro game that Terran players are generally fond of. He's got only 52 SCVs. There is 121 army supply, though, and it's basically all of this. Medifex, by the way, out of energy. Okay, aggressive link forward. Target firing down as many of the Vikings. Colossi are shielded reasonably well, but now the Marines and the Marauders are pushing through. Purification Novas are available here as well. There's another one being activated, but honestly, there is not even a need for it. ByuN just got murdered by Clem. In a best-of-7 series, Clem's off-race Protoss just won 4-0 over a previous world champion of StarCraft 2. It's insane. GG.